Two, how we doing today? Hope y'all doing good. So first things first, we getting into a reaction vid for the mastermind behind Faze, the story of Banks. Y'all know, as y'all know, Faze is one of my favorite streaming content groups. That's in the game or whatever, and I love watching these guys. I don't know too much about Banks. I know Adapt was part of the old Phase. Like, I don't really know too much about like the older Phase members. I really dipped into Phase as the new group has shown face and made an image for themselves. So I figured, like, fuck it, might as well take a dab in and see what we can see what type of person Banks is. Learn a little bit more about Banks, the actual owner and creator of Phase.
Life of drugs, addiction, and endless scandals. Your company is in shambles. Then you lose the most important person in your life.
And around that time, I lost my pops, my dad, Big Rich, shout out Mingya. And this Faze shit was his favorite shit ever, bro. Like, this motherfucker would talk about this shit endlessly.
This is the story of the mastermind behind the world's most popular gaming empire. The story of Faze Banks.
You could tell he was super close to his father. Just hearing his voice talk about that kind of shook me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I felt that in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because I've never even heard Banks talk like that. Though I don't know much about Banks, I see him all the time. He's always in the Faze clips or streams and stuff like that. And I've never heard him even a little bit upset like that. Maybe mad, but hurt like that. You could really hear the hurt in him.
It's 2017. Richard Bankston, or as you know him, Faze Banks, has just moved to Los Angeles, California. He's part of an international gaming group known as Faze Clan. His social accounts are blowing up, and he feels unstoppable. In LA, he launches an entertainment group outside of the Faze brand, known as Clout Gang. Key members of the group consisted of fast-rising content creators, such as Rice Gum, a YouTuber known for diss tracks, Alyssa Violet, a former Vine star turned YouTuber, Summer Rae, an Instagram model, Wolfie, a rapper and YouTuber, and finally, Faze Banks himself. This house of villains pumped out content and were extremely influential around this time. They made their mark by starting online feuds with other large content creators and constantly surrounding themselves with controversy. Other than that, the Clout Gang brand was made up entirely of flashy lifestyle content. They drove expensive cars, partied, and built party personas to draw in millions of fans. Banks was no exception. His own account blew up on YouTube, going from 1 million to 4 million subscribers. Sadly, the fame and money drew him down a path of addiction. Over the course of only a few years, his online personality took over, and his ordinary life as Richard Bankston faded away. During this time, he also went through a number of massive controversies. He was accused of hitting Jake Paul's assistant, Meg McPherson, leaving her covered in bruises. He was charged with a felony for destroying a Las Vegas hotel room. Not only that, his business ventures were falling apart. Over time, members of the Clout House began leaving to focus on solo careers. Members of the group were growing tired of the constant beefs. To top it off, the rise of TikTok and new content houses began making Clout House less relevant online. Banks has admitted it was an embarrassing and difficult time. He was worried about disappointing his father, one of the few people who supported him through everything.
Look at young Adapt and young Banks, bruh. Hold on.
Disappointing his father, one of the...
Look at these guys. Okay, first off, Banks with no facial hair is fucking wild. We always see young Adapt though. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a badass little kid. He had the face of a badass little kid. I fuck with Adapt. That is my fucking dog, and he never has been like bad like that. But just look at that face. That is the kid. That is the Disney Channel face of a bully in all high school shows. Tell me it's not. Tell me it's fucking not, bruh.
the few
Let's argue.
people who supported him through everything. We're going to be covering all of this in detail, but before we do, it's important to return to Banks' upbringing so you understand how he became the man he is today. Richard Ricky Bankston was born on October 18, 1991, in Massachusetts. As a kid and teen, he wasn't drawn to video games like many of the up-and-coming gamers we see today. Overall, Banks has described himself through the high school years as being a typical teen who was somewhat of a troublemaker. In fact, he really only played sports and only ever played video games.
I'm starting to vibe with him already because same, bruh. Just troubled for no reason. Just no reason, bro. I just had so much hurt on me.
As if it was with friends. Once
some of the choices you make when you're younger out of emotions and being hurt or just stressed out or depressed is just crazy, bro. And then grown people would tell you, like, you're too young to be stressed out or depressed. What do you know about it? And it's like, I know enough, all right? Maybe I'm not going through all the stuff or the things that you're going through, but I'm going through stuff that I don't know how to handle. No adult male has taught me how to regulate or deal with my emotions. So every single emotion besides happy is being turned to anger. Cause I gotta be a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers wouldn't understand. Growing up was hard, bruh. Growing up is hard for anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy.
Banks got into playing,
and then the situations that you grow up in just alter that. It either makes it harder or makes it easier. You know what I'm saying? Based on your living situation, you know, how your parents are, if your parents are there, you know what I'm saying? All that different aspects of life coming into play with whatever you have internally going on. You know what I'm saying? People forget, like, even though they're a kid, they're still a human being. So they have their own thoughts, their own things they're upset about, their own paranoias and stuff. Like, they're them. You know what I'm saying? Shit is wild.
Original Halo game on Xbox, he began to see the potential of gaming. Most of his interest was in Xbox Live, getting to talk with people from October 18th, 1991, in Massachusetts. As a kid and teen, he wasn't drawn to video games like many of the up-and-coming gamers we see today. Overall, Banks has described himself through the high school years as being a typical teen who was somewhat of a troublemaker. In fact, he really only played sports and only ever played video games if it was with friends. Once Banks got into playing the original Halo game on Xbox, he began to see the potential of
OG. The OG.
Gaming. Most of his interest was in Xbox Live. Getting to talk with people from around the country online of all different age groups was fun for Banks and got him playing more games.
The second I put the mic on, I could talk shit to people, and like, I don't know, there's fucking 25 real humans in the lobby, and they're talking shit to me, and I'm talking shit to that. For me, I was like, that was it for me.
In 2010, he graduated high school, and about a year later, he dived into the world of gaming.
What?
Whether you're a contractor or a master technician, Harbor Freight understands your job depends upon...
It all started with Call of...
Wait.
He graduated high school in about...
In 2010? Yo, I graduated a year later. I was thinking I'm older than Banks. I thought I was older than Banks because I'm usually older than most streamers. You know what I'm saying? So when I thought about Banks, like, I did not think he was going to be older than me. I don't know. I just did not think that. He might not be, though. That's so close that he might not be. We might be about the same age, but regardless, like, that's crazy.
About a year later, he dived into the world of gaming. It all started with Call of Duty. When Banks got into the game, he became a skilled player pretty quickly. He was mostly known for being a trick shotter and was welcomed into the Soar gaming clan with open arms. At the time, Soar was a competitor of the Faze clan. In 2011, Banks launched a YouTube channel. He started racking up early wins with short 30 to 60 second clips of trick shots or insane kills. He wasn't huge yet, but definitely building popularity quickly. By then, Banks was starting to make a bit of money off YouTube. He was building an audience and becoming popular amongst gamers. While things were going well, he knew that he would need to do a lot more if he wanted to build the Banks name into a full-fledged brand. He realized he wasn't going to be able to compete against some other hardcore gamers at that time who were already playing in tournaments. He was a skilled sniper in Call of Duty, but understood his strengths weren't in gaming alone.
Look at that nostalgia.
His strongest skills
Look at that fucking nostalgia, that just the graphics and everything, bro. That's fucking
were
nostalgia.
in leadership. He had excelled within the SOAR gaming group and was popular for his ability to help mentor others in the clan and bring people together.
I don't know. I'm one of those people who, like, I'm attracted to and drawn to people when they're, like, at their worst for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, I want to reach out to people when they're doing bad and let them know, like, yo, I have some advice for you, or I have this for. I find myself,
bro. For something like that to happen would be crazy, bro, and would be monumental for a lot of people. Shit, I'm speaking on my behalf, but I know because I think of it like this that a lot of people would. That if Banks was to just reach out, like, hey, you know, I just got a piece of advice, that shit would give a motherfucker so much drive because your status, bro. Your status, bro. And it's like, if you took time to speak to them,
reaching out to people when they're when their backs are against the wall for whatever fucking reason.
Banks' ability to assess his skills and lean into what made him strong is part of what made him into the mastermind we know today. This requires humility and was an important step in his journey. While he was doing well in SOAR and building a strong audience, Banks...
I hate that, bro. I hate that. And I'm starting to find that out. That's what I'm starting to find out with the streaming shit, is that you gotta get humiliated, bruh. You got to. And I be fucking letting these YNs rage bait me. And I gotta stop falling for it. But they don't just be trolling. Motherfuckers be trying to go personal and then be wrong. That's what really be pissing me off. So now you just a big mouth team who come across too many of the same motherfuckers online.
saw Faze Clan as a group that had a brighter future. While still somewhat unheard of in the gaming community, Faze was quickly growing and was the group he knew he couldn't miss being a part of. In March of 2013, Banks made the difficult decision to leave SOAR and join their rivals, Faze. He officially became Faze Banks. This was a huge moment for Banks and Faze Clan as a whole. He was already becoming an extremely popular gamer, and teaming up was a major win for Faze Clan, Banks, and fans alike. Around the same time, Banks slowly began shifting away from gameplay videos into new types of content. By 2015, he was making personality-based videos and vlogs. He focused less on gaming and more on human connections and storytelling. He answered questions from fans and approached everything he did with as much rawness and honesty as he could. Unlike many YouTubers at this time, his videos felt more down to earth. He didn't have loud, explosive intros or anything like that. He seemed like an everyday guy and spoke to his audience directly. It made him personable and helped shape his channel into more of a community. This was a major foundation to his success down the road. He took that same approach and mindset to the Faze Clan as a whole. By joining the group, Banks began guiding their open set, major foundation to his success down the road.
Y'all don't know nothing
he took
about
that
this. Reckless?
Same approach.
Is that the Young and Reckless? It is Young and Reckless, bro. I have this tatted on my neck, bro. This is tatted on the back of my neck, bro. Young and Reckless, bro. Y'all don't know nothing about this, dog. This was Rob. I don't know if y'all remember Rob Deerdeck, Rob and Black. All right, so Rob and Black, they had their show, right? Remember when they started making Fantasy Factory? And then we met Rob's cousin. Rob's cousin made the brand Young and Reckless. That brand was sick, bro. That brand was sick. That's so funny. I got that tatted on the back of my neck, bruh. Ah.
Plan as a whole. By joining the group, Banks began guiding their overall content strategy. He knew that in order for them to survive and become a larger brand name, they would need to start looking past gaming content.
I ain't lying. The fuck you mean I'm lying? Hold on, let me see if I can do this. Bruh, I can't see though. I won't be able to see. Oh, you know what? Here, I can use my phone. Here. Watch. Hold on. I gotta pull up my line. Man, well, look, I can't pull it. Oh shit, my chair, bro. Am I dumb? Back of my neck, bro. It's probably fucked up. It was a free tat, bruh. It was bad, bro. It was bad. It should be probably a scar on it. I wanted to get it redone. I don't even know what it looks like, bruh. It's behind me. I don't be in the mirror looking at my back. I also got the Fireball logo tattooed on my back. Shit you do when you're a fucking troubled teen.
While it would remain a core to who they were as a brand and who their viewers were, he wanted everyone to start thinking of other types of content they could create. He wanted them to be known as a lifestyle group as much as a gaming group. Ironically, it was his down-to-earth persona and ideas that helped Faze Clan explode in popularity.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete
The money he earned through Faze, YouTube, and other collaborations was growing quickly. It started to change who Faze Banks was entirely. Flash forward back to where we started in 2017. That regular nerdy kid from Florida had all but disappeared. At this point, Faze Banks had tons of fame and money, but was slowly developing some serious addictions. Little did he know he was staring down the barrel of some serious controversies, the likes of which would result in a devastating loss. Instead of letting these hard lessons take him down, he embraced them and learned from them. Let's get into what happened, and later, what he did to keep moving forward. In 2017, Banks found himself under the microscope from authorities and news outlets after allegations came out that he had assaulted a woman in an LA nightclub. That woman was none other than Jake Paul's assistant, Meg McPherson. In a video released to YouTube, Meg said that while trying to leave the nightclub, Banks held out his arm and essentially hit her in the neck. In the video, she shows off some of the bruises that accrued from the assault and battery. She also told viewers that she had filed a report with the Los Angeles Police Department and was going to let them handle the situation moving forward. The video was quickly deleted by Jake Paul, but the news was already going viral. Faze Banks was reportedly shocked by the allegations. He was quick to turn his audiences to try and get control of the story. He decided to create a response video, which he also posted on YouTube. In his response, he said the entire story was made up. He also threatened legal action.
I first want to come out and say 99% of what this kid said in his video was absolutely fabricated and not true. I am going to be 150% honest about everything and every detail about this night from my point of view. Because at this point, it has gotten to where this needs to be pursued legally. Defamation of character and slander to the highest degree.
Banks responded with his own version of the story, in which he explained that it was all an accident. He also showed a message from someone close to Meg, who claimed she admitted that it wasn't on purpose. Fans online were torn between who to believe. Many felt like Paul may have drummed up the story for the sake of views. Others also pointed out that Jake Paul only seemed to start coming after Banks because he had started dating Paul's ex. Around 2017, Faze Banks began dating social media influencer Alyssa Violet. The social media influencer had only recently broken off a years-long relationship with YouTuber Jake Paul. Banks and Violet received a lot of attention for the relationship throughout the esports community and between fans of Paul and Banks. However, they also got a lot of negative attention and drama by being together. Paul was not happy with the breakup with Violet. They both came from Ohio, moved to LA together, and grew their platforms together. Banks already started becoming a rival to Paul. At the same time, Banks and Violet were quickly becoming one of the most talked about romances in the influencer community. After about 2 years, the couple broke up after Violet caught Banks cheating with another girl. Violet has said that a group of friends came back to their house one night to continue partying. She fell asleep early, and when she woke up and noticed Banks was nowhere to be found, to come hiding 10 years
I didn't want to leave y'all
Violet. This team story told
And your point, it has gotten things I said.
which he also played and get reportedly shocked by the allegations. He was quick to turn his audiences to try and get control of the story. He decided to create a response video, which he also posted on YouTube. In his response, he said the entire story was made up. He also threatened legal action.
I first want to come out and say 99% of what this kid said in his video was absolutely fabricated and not true. I am going to be 150% honest about everything and every detail about this night from my point of view. Because at this point, it has gotten to where this needs to be pursued legally. Defamation of character and slander to the highest degree.
Banks responded with his own version of the story, in which he explained that it was all an accident. He also showed a
That's infected. Maybe getting a tattoo at a 3-day music festival was a bad idea.
Probably.
message from someone close to Meg, who claimed she admitted that it wasn't on purpose. Fans online were torn between who to believe. Many felt like Paul may have drummed up the story for the sake of views. Others also pointed out that Jake Paul only seemed to start coming after Banks because he had started dating Paul's ex. Around 2017, Faze Banks began dating social media influencer Alyssa Violet. The social media influencer had only recently broken off a years-long relationship with YouTuber Jake Paul. Banks and Violet received a lot of attention for the relationship throughout the esports community and between fans of Paul and Banks. However, they also got a lot of negative attention and drama by being together. Paul was not happy with the breakup with Violet. They both came from Ohio, moved to LA together, and grew their platforms together. Banks already started becoming a rival to Paul. At the same time, Banks and Violet were quickly becoming one of the most talked about romances in the influencer community. After about 2 years, the couple broke up after Violet caught Banks cheating with another girl. Violet has said that a group of friends came back to their house one night to continue partying. She fell asleep early, and when she woke up and noticed Banks was nowhere to be found, despite all of their friends having already left. When she went to the guest wing of the house, she opened a door and found Banks with one of their friends. Their relationship quickly ended on July 5th, 2019. Nowadays, both of them have said they have moved on from the incident and expressed support for one another. The breakup was a rough moment for Banks, who was quickly spiraling into addiction and some mental health issues. At this point, controversies were building, but there was one other massive controversy right before this breakup that didn't just have an impact on Banks' personal life, but his business dealings as well. Of course, we're talking about the Tfue contract drama. In May of 2019, the Fortnite player Turner Kennedy, otherwise known as Tfue, filed a lawsuit against Faze Clan. He claimed they limited his ability to pursue his profession in violation of California law. Tfue went on to allege that the Faze team had signed him into a, quote, grossly oppressive contract that allowed them to take up to 80% of all the brand deals that he managed to get. Faze did actually admit that was true, but argued there were other parts of the contract that weren't that bad for Tfue. Tfue received $2,000 in monthly compensation and was entitled to 80% of his prize money, 50% of in-game merchandise, 50% of brand deals negotiated by Tfue, 20% of those deals negotiated by the company, 50% of touring and appearance fees, and 20% of Tfue-themed team merchandise revenues. This whole contract was signed on April 27, 2018. It lasted for 6 months before an automatic extension clause kicked in that added 3 more years to Tfue's deal. If you can't already tell, he had locked himself into a bad deal, but Faze argued he signed up for it, and what's done is done. In response to the lawsuit, Banks tweeted that Faze had only collected 20% of Tfue's deals for a total of $60,000 out of $300,000 that he had made so far. Faze as a company also responded soon after, saying they hadn't collected any tournament winnings or revenue from other platforms. Not only that, but Banks soon offered Tfue newer contract terms. He said on Twitter that, quote, "This is so see-through. Listen, obviously Turner's initial contract was horrible. Nobody ever disagreed with that. But over the last year, we have offered him so many new ones, solutions, 0% splits, honest and more than fair ways to solve the issue. And again, this was never about money. We never expected this to happen, and over the last year have only collected $60,000 from $300,000 in brand deals we brought him. 20%, that's the absolute total. This wasn't about money, ever, or an unfair contract." As Faze started saddling up for a legal dispute, they publicly released all of the other team members' non-executed contracts. People online went absolutely nuts to see the terms of these deals. This entire thing launched an expensive 15-month battle in California courts to resolve the issues. Finally, Tfue and Faze reached a settlement and resolved their litigation. The terms to that settlement haven't been made publicly available. Regardless, this entire fiasco caused major issues for Faze Banks and set the Faze business behind as a whole. Over the next few years, Faze Clan saw major declines and changed ownership a number of times. For some background context, in the beginning, Faze as a business had been riding high for a few years. Massive celebrity endorsements and investments set them up as a publicly traded company. However, after the drama with Tfue's contract, those corporate entities had pretty much taken complete control of Faze Clan, and Banks had almost no say over the direction of the company. Over the period of a few months, the stock price for the company dropped to $0. It was worth nothing. Banks and other creators who built Faze were left holding an empty bag, but Banks' life was about to get even worse. In the spring of 2023, with the company in shambles, Faze Banks received life-changing news and hit his absolute rock bottom.
Damn, this is just a few years ago.
What you been working on, bro? Hadn't seen you forever.
Just got back from Boston. My dad just passed away.
Oh man, I'm so.
Just landed.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. Are you doing okay?
Been better, brother.
Been better.
He found out his dad had passed away. Banks has
This is tough, bro. I didn't get to skip right there. Oh, I was just gonna play him all the way through. Oh, I can skip it now.
about his father over the years. He said that the man was his biggest supporter and his hero. He helped him through all the highs and lows and was a massive fan of everything Banks did. This loss devastated him. He knew at this moment that something had to change. For one, he continued focusing on his health and stayed sober, which he had just started in recent months. He also began forming a new plan to take control of Faze and to lead the company in a new direction for a more modern fan base. Like any mastermind, Banks used this low moment as an opportunity to humble himself and start rebuilding something far greater. That leads us into the most recent chapter of Banks' life. This is how he rebuilt Faze from the ground up. Banks knew everything would need to change. He'd need to take control over the company and make some very unpopular decisions. It was time for a reboot, and not everyone was going to make it on the new roster. In May of 2024, Faze Clan's parent company, GameSquare, announced the formation of a brand new company known as Faze Media. This company would be led by none other than Richard Faze Banks Bankston. The literal rebooted company would be an internet media company with a focus on esports. Banks knew that focusing everything into what made them originally popular was the key to success. As any great mastermind knows, you can't miss the forest for the trees. Focus on what actually works and trim off the fat. Too many corporate hands had been in the pie and had pulled the company into 1 billion different directions. Banks wanted to simplify and focus on what actually mattered, entertaining fans. Faze Media would be a creator-led company, which was a huge win for Banks. Then he quickly scored another big victory. On June 19, 2024, Banks acquired 25.5% in Faze Media from GameSquare. This is a major stake in the group and would mean he was less likely to lose control of the company again. With all that underway, Banks was making public moves, which didn't exactly win over all fans at first. Banks knew that in order to drive the group towards a more modern lifestyle and gaming brand, he'd need to recruit new talent and kick out members who no longer aligned themselves with his vision. It all started with this infamous Reboost post. Soon after, there was backlash from a number of former members, including streamer Kaylee, who said she was dropped without earning any money, despite her passion and support for the team. Another longtime member, Big Puffer, called the move disgraceful after 11 years with Faze. Other members to get kicked from the team included Blaze, Scissors, Agony, Blue, and more. Banks then followed up by saying, quote, Adapt, Apex, Banks, Jev, Kason, Nick Merckx, Replays, Ronaldo, Rug, Scope, Swag, Temper, Your Rage, Zuma. Everyone else is out, he wrote. That is the roster. High-profile figures like Bronny James and rappers Offset and Lil Yachty were not mentioned, leaving their status unclear. While the shakeup was a huge controversy, Banks continued to trust his instincts like a true mastermind.
Crazy.
He knew that it might not be the most popular decision at first, but was an important part of rebuilding. Sometimes you have to tear things down to rebuild, and that's not to say he didn't have any support at all. Other members of the gaming community supported the decisions and were looking forward to a new and improved Faze clan since the group had become a soulless brand. Banks himself promised to bring back the OGs like Faze Temper, Faze Apex, Rain, and others. He told supporters that he wanted to rebuild based on real connections, gaming, and content that fans actually loved. Since the reorganization of the group, Faze Clan has exploded in popularity again. They have turned back to their roots and are making all types of lifestyle and gaming content. It has also become a household name again and a huge part of the streaming community. Banks himself is basically a rebooted version. While he used to chase money in a certain lifestyle, he's reached a point where his focus is on something far more rewarding. Like a true mastermind, he's been able to pivot and learn and grow no matter what he's gone through. He's 4 years sober and has completely changed his mindset about what's most important to him. Banks has talked extensively about wanting to be a role model for other content creators coming up. Since the passing of his father, he's become far more focused on leaving behind a positive, strong legacy. Faze socials are continuing to grow, and the opportunities for members seem endless. The mastermind behind Faze knew exactly what needed to be done to bring it back, and it seems like there's more on the horizon for the brand. A key to this success is diving into the streaming world. New members of the clan like Lacey have boosted Faze's reputation in the streaming community by building massive Twitch audiences. That said, things aren't always smooth, but Banks isn't going to let that take down the company again. In May 2025, Banks announced that Lacey was kicked from the Faze clan for about a period of 24 hours. Lacey confirmed this was true, and they weren't trolling. Not much is publicly known as to why this split happened, but Lacey said he had a disagreement with the group. During a late-night emergency session, Lacey apologized to Banks and the rest of the group, and they were able to resolve the issue. The streamer was
Thank goodness. I'm glad he's back. I think it's a good place for you to be, Lacey. I think it's a good place for you to be. I think it was a smart move because I know you were willing to do it on your own. I know you was ready to do it on your own if you had to, but I'm glad that wasn't where your heart was and that wasn't what you chose. I'm glad you went back to Faze.
invited back into the group. The whole incident underscores how seriously Banks has become about protecting the brand and why he's the mastermind behind Faze. If you want to learn more about the drama with Lacey being kicked from Faze, be sure to check.
I don't. I wanted to learn about Banks.